Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. I'm wrapped up against the cold. I'm filming this on Sunday night and it is 0 degrees. So for those of you watching on video, I know some listen on the radio, but for those watching on video, I've got my hat, I've got my gloves on, I've got my overcoat on. It's important that we dress according to the weather that we are expecting. I learned this lesson a very hard way. I was in the United States. I was in Florida. And on the Sunday morning, I was preaching at a church right down at the southern tip of Florida, a place called Homestead near Miami. And then after that, I had to go straight to Miami airport and fly to Ukraine. And it was February. So I booked a flight. I had a flight leaving out of Miami that would take me all the way through to Kyiv. And I arrived into Kyiv and it was absolutely freezing. Now, I was going on to Donetsk. Donetsk airport has now been destroyed in the war, in the civil war before the current Russian invasion. But at that time, the airport was still operational, so I was going on to Donetsk. So I had to fly from Miami into Kyiv, and then I had to get a connecting flight onto Donetsk. Now, what that meant was that in Borispol Airport, the main Kyiv airport, I had to transfer from the international terminal to the domestic terminal, but I never even thought about that. And so I flew out of Miami and I had packed, I did have winter clothing with me, but it was all packed inside my cases that were being transferred on. So I just arrived into the main airport in Kyiv wearing a very lightweight suit. No, I didn't have a jumper, didn't have a sweater, just a very light jacket on. And I had to walk from the international terminal to the domestic terminal, which was a walk of about a mile. And it was miserable. It was minus 20 degrees and there was a blizzard blowing. And I was just woefully ill-prepared. I'm pulling my little carry-on case behind me and I was wishing I was dressed in an overcoat and gloves and hat and scarf, but I had none of those things. It seemed like all the other people that were making that transfer and walking across were all wearing big overcoats and the big Russian hats with the flaps covering their ears and everything else. And I was in a bad place. I was absolutely shaking with cold whenever I got into that domestic terminal. I learned a lesson that day. I learned that you shouldn't dress according to where you're coming from. You should dress according to where you're going to. I had dressed for Florida, but now I was walking a mile in a blizzard in Ukraine. And I've never forgotten that lesson. It's helped me a lot in life since to think ahead. What am I facing? And I need God to do the things in my life that's going to equip me for what lies ahead of me, not based on what lies behind me. You know, so often we do things in our lives based on our previous experiences. People get hurt, and as a result, they build up defenses against the hurt that they've already received. And those defenses are supposed to protect them, but they were based on the past, not on the future. And often those defenses that they build can even cut themselves off from building good friendships and intimate friendships because they are basing their behavior on what lies behind them rather than what lies before them. You might say to me, well, how do we know what lies before us? Well, the wonderful thing is that the Bible tells us. Why? Because in Romans chapter 12, it says that God has a will and a purpose for us, and that his will is good, pleasing, and perfect. So God has a good and pleasing and perfect will for you and me. And that's what we need to prepare ourselves for. We may have had disappointments in the past. We may have had hurts in the past. But as we believe that God has a great future for us, let's prepare ourselves and equip ourselves for the future, not to try to rerun the past once again. I pray that today you will embrace your future in God and discover it to be good, pleasing, and perfect. May God bless you in Jesus' name, and join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.